Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Tessa Talks. What's going on? Here, we're talking about everything, anything under the sun, anything I feel like ranting about. That's what this space is. I come here every week just to talk about anything and everything I want to. So, yeah, don't forget to comment, share, like it up, y'all. And let's go ahead and get right into this video. Okay, so hey, my darlings. How's y'all week been? How y'all been going? What's been going on? Let me know in the comments what's been going on with y'all this week. I have been chill. Actually, this week has been a little rough on me. I'm not even gonna lie. This week has been a little rough. School has been a lot. Um, it's getting to the crunch time. You know, summer's here, so I have to go do a lot more shots than what I've been doing for the last 7 months. So it's getting like really serious. So it's been a lot on the girl. On top of work, work has been picking up, and so trying to juggle that, and then looking for something new, you know, something to keep my brain stimulated outside of like school and work, because sometimes that feels like, you know, routine, and once it gets things get a little routine for me, I get bored, and I'm trying not to get to that. Once, you know, I'm like, I don't want to lose the momentum, because when I get bored or something, I'm just like, all right, I'm over it, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And I'm trying not to do that with a lot of things. I told y'all, like, my depression played into a lot of unfinished projects. So I'm not doing that this time. I'm deading that. That is something that I had picked up along my journey. And I don't like that, so I'm dropping it off again. I'm getting back to my productive, and fulfilling side again. Things that the person that got things done, you know. But outside of that, we had the Carmelo Anthony situation. Now that weighed heavy on me. That's something that's going to be talked about today. That Boosie, and I think that's kind of really it. It's Pride Month still. It doesn't really feel like Pride, you know, especially here in DC. It's a lot of events and things going on. But I think just because of the political climate, even the social climate that we're in right now, the economic climate that we're in, it just doesn't feel like, hey, I don't want to be outside spending money. You know, I don't feel like doing that. Or I just don't feel community. Cuz community hurt is also a thing, you know? Um and that's something that's not talked about enough. But I think that we should definitely talk about, just not in this episode today. You know, that's I mean, shit. We might talk about it a little bit, because why not? I think it leads into why the Little Boosie situation and shit. Even while we're looking at the Carmelo situation, the way that we're doing, while we're so divided in political and social and moral views when it comes down to how that is being handled, or the social and the criminal injustice that is being done to him, you know? And so it's just a lot of things when I hear community hurt that takes place with me. Um but yeah, we're gonna close up on the how I did this week, but we're gonna jump in. Let's start it off with community hurt. Shit, fuck it. And that'll lead us into the Boosie situation because lo and behold, I think, to be completely honest, why we're looking at things the way we are now as a community is because we're starting to recognize a lot of the BS that has happened. You know, the BS, the bullshit, the hypocrisy, contradictions, um, the half-ass moral complexes that a lot of black people and black queer people have. A lot of misogynistic, patriarchal mindsets that are being upheld that aren't really ours, right? um, so that's one thing, and but like my biggest thing when I say community hurt, I think it's like if you ever been to church, and because church hurt is similar, but I think what happens is that with church hurt you can run to community, right? There's a community outside of church, but what happens when you are getting hurt by the communities that you have set to run to, or you have gone to look for camaraderie and socialization and things of that nature, right? And not saying that you're not going to be hurt, because like that's pussy mindset, right? That's meow meow mindset, right? We don't wanna we don't wanna we don't wanna act like the world is supposed to just be giving us silver platters and golden plates and silver spoons every single place that we go, right? But I would think that people that I ooh people that I think that I say look like me, sound like me, things of that nature would understand me. And I'm learning that is not always the case. And that's okay. I love difference. I love a unique individual. I hate basic personalities. I'm not going to say hate because hate is a strong word. Oof. But I really do not like a person who does not have their own sense of self. Like, I see through that. And I'm the type of person to make you be yourself. I don't give a fuck how toxic it might be. And that's the crazy part. That is my biggest toxic struggle. Because I can't stand a person. I can't stand a person hiding behind a mask. Especially if I see through the mask. It's not gonna do too well with me. It's not gonna you're not gonna be able to sit with me for too long. Because I'm gonna challenge you. That's just how it is. And I think that comes along with my community hurt is because I do challenge a lot of people's bravado sometimes. Some people say I have a problem with authority. I actually don't. I know when to sit the fuck back. When I need to sit the fuck back, okay? It's just I'm not gonna sit back just for anything. No. Not at all. Not at all. Not in the sake of no, no. Mm-mm. Not when you can't dangle money. Like I'm one of those you can't dangle money in front of me and think, oh, that's gonna make me just make a move. Mm-mm. 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 Not with me. It doesn't. Not with me. Until you know a certain level. But 9 times out of 10, you can't move me with two with a number. That's like selling my soul. I'm not selling my soul. I'm not doing that. Mm-mm. I've seen what it does. I've watched people save themselves before. I'm not doing down that road. And I'm blessed to even have that example, right? But anyway. Going back to what I was saying about community, because I was just ranting now. Going back to what I was saying about the community heart thing, I think people need to start taking seriously that a lot of the damage that our community has as Black and queer people, it's a lot of grooming that happens, and a lot of people find that to be acceptable. Um, a lot of fake guidance or parental figures to be just predators. That's it. That's all. Shaped to be in put in sheep's clothing, and that's it. That's all. And like you put a bitch like me in front of something like that, I'm always gonna call it what the fuck it is, and I'm gonna see it. I don't really care too much about the consequences because what are you gonna do? You can't beat me up, and if you can beat me up, I don't play fair. I low key don't play fair. So it's gonna be if it's that serious for me. If it's never that serious, I'm just gonna call the cops. I'm gonna call the police. I learned from the white women. I lived in Utah for like 5, 6 years. I learned from the white women. And I will call the cops on you. I will call the cops. Depending on how much you test my gangster, because sometimes I don't need to involve the cops. What we involving the law for? If I can get the job done and get my point across without the cops being involved, then that's going to be the best option for me. That's going to be the best option for me. I like that option. But that's why I'm saying why we gotta resort to violence. That's my problem. That's the problem. Why we gotta resort to violence all the time. But did you have to have that mindset with people these days? It's because they don't be wanting to have the common sense of just saying, hey, yeah, I fucked up, or I'm sorry that I hurt you because this is the... Instead of just doing that, right? And working to try to be better people for everybody around. You know, not just for themselves, but for everybody around them. People want to continue to do the fucked up shit. Cool. I played a character named Karma once. I played a character named Karma once. And guess what? She's not just the character. She can become real life fucking around with me, right? Because I hate when you tell a motherfucker and then they test you as you some type of green ass motherfucker, and I don't like that because since I've learned the way of the Caucasian, their petty is mad slick with it, tactical, you know, strategic. You know? And I've just learned that, like, sometimes it's better to just leave it in the ways of the realms with people. Because stuff always tends to come back around, right? And usually when I'm moving and operating in spaces, I try to be a good person for everybody because I know how I am when I'm mean. So I try not to be that way around a lot of people. Not saying that, you know, I'm a saint or whatever, but I try to be very cordial in the spaces that I walk around in. Now, if I see somebody that I typically do not favor, I try my best to not speak or even dwell in that person's energy. Because I just know me. I just know me and where I grew from and where my heritage um, comes from and lies in. And I don't want to activate that type of energy. So usually when it comes down to community nowadays, I typically remove myself. Black women, it's more spaces often than none that I have to be confrontational because a lot of people have assumptions just by appearance. Just by appearance naturally. They just assume. Which I'm prepared for naturally. I'm already prepared for, right? But when I deflect that assumption and I give them the opposite energy, I still get, you know, picked and prodded. Anyway, let's get to talking about my baby Carmelo because I had a hard time low key wanting to talk about this subject, even wanting to film this because like I have a heart of justice really really badly, but I also have like a sense of undoubt. I don't know what it to call it, but I just have this thing about my heart where it's like it gets heavy for me. It's like I feel the things that the family are feeling, right? So hearing about Carmelo the first time, I believe it was like what last year, 2 years ago, and hearing that he was even up for a murder charge definitely was like, whoa, okay. Hearing about the situation, hearing about him being in a tent surrounded about around other kids, a teenager way bigger than him. He, by what I'm understanding, said it was self-defense. Said that he has warned the kid not to touch him. That's a big thing. Like if I say don't touch me, don't fucking touch me. Period. I whatever I do after that was warranted. Cause bitch, what the fuck are you doing touching me? Anyway, and then and then to hear about his verdict that he is being charged with what 35 years. 35 years. That baby is what 19. He won't be like he won't be he won't be able to get parole until he's like they said half his sentence. So what's half of 35? Well, like 15? 17? Yeah, 17? Wait a minute. I don't know. Do the math. I'm going to do the math. Let me put the number. Anyway, like, that's still like 15, 16, 17 fucking years until you can get parole over self-defense. Because mind you, if this was a white child, if that roles were reversed, let's say if the roles was reversed, right? If let's say if this was what's that kid's name? What that boy name is? Austin. Mind you, if Austin was the one to had did that and said that it was out of self-defense, oh, they would have painted Carmelo as the aggressor, as they already are, right? But pushed him as it was an assault. It was he was looking to due to dangers. We don't know what he would have done to him. Oh, it would have been all kinds of things. It would have been Austin was just protecting himself. It would have been all. It would have been definitely gave that. So now that saying that again, black people don't get any justice, but this is where like the hard part to the situation is, because I love the feedback that we're getting to this from our community. I love that um Cardi B supposedly is donating hopefully 5 mil to the family to get in investigations and get this case actually cleared up, because of course looking at it, and we're probably going to listen to a little bit of some of like the witnesses and stuff that I had found um on YouTube, and it was the YouTuber AV. Okay. AV to the seventh power. Period. I love her. She is definitely like a political law girl. But I found some of the details that she had put out for some of the witnesses, and we're just gonna listen to a few of them just to get a few feel of to see where the narrative was really being pushed at in that courtroom, right? Um, because this is what I'm saying on it from here on out with Cardi B, Charleston. I think not only this is not just a call to action that needs to be had for the entire black community, but I think this is also a moment, right, for us to look at the entire picture of this all and not just look at the injustice that happens with Carmelo, but look at this as just being another incident of why we need to continuously look at us being black and put all of the other things and the other differences that we may have aside and to attack this system together. But going back to what I was getting ready to really say, Carmelo seemed to be like listening to some of the cases like verbiage from some of the tweets that I like seen from AV. It gave that these kids were either coerced, talked to, talking out of biased, emotional, opinion, like feelings, right? Not invalidating anything that they may have felt, because that is a traumatizing as fucking situation to watch somebody that you consider a friend or very close friend or even family, teammate, things of that nature, just life. Whew. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But I also think when it comes down to deciding whether or not someone's life should be halted or not, based off of a emotional altercation, because these were kids, right? Y'all are trialing him as if he was a full-blown developed emotional aware emotional sense and emotionally stable adult. These boys were testosterone flared teenagers. At max, instead of doing more damage to Carmelo by traumatizing him with prison, which does not do anything for the community, so in no way, shape, or form, justice system. He's not going to be a contributing um source to the community anymore after he was a 3.7 grade point average student, never had any trouble with the law before, never had any incidences with fighting or school issues, was an amazing student, was a amazing athlete, injured and then went to another sport and then excelled, and he was just an amazing child who was defending himself because he felt threatened because he had a bunch of teenagers yelling at him in a tent where he had the right to be at. Like hello? Like hello? Like y'all don't still go up to these schools and to these facilities just because you used to work at them and go loiter and go say hi and go be friends even though you're not technically supposed to be there. Let's be fucking for real. Let's be for real right now. What happened to protect the kids? Where was the adult in the facility? Why did it even get to that point of physical altercation in the first place? If this was supposed to be a team, social, family event where it was just supposed to be fun for kids and things of that, monetization should have still been happening. Meaning an adult should have been in every space to control the space, knowing that we're in a space full of teenagers. Hello? Hello? Are we okay in 2026? Are we all right? That could have avoided a life being taken in the first place. Why are we putting so much responsibility on these teenagers? Where's the responsibility of the adults? Can we talk about that? Y'all want to say this is a black and white thing? Like, it's more than just a black and white thing. It's more than just that. Right? We all know, if we all know, come on now. I need black people to start using these brains. White, right? Ooh. If we understand the system is not meant for us and it's built against us, right? Yet all we're doing is sitting here and saying, not saying all we're doing, because I'm not gonna discredit the work that is being done, but I do want to change the pin needle from just acknowledgement to redirection it to something that is going to be a little bit more suitable for us, and that is now like putting us back in a space of what are we going to do as a full-blown community. Because guess what, let's be fucking for real, this generation is a little bit weak when it comes down to like the activism part, or when it comes down to actually wanting to do something within community. But I think that also comes with discouragement and lack of encouragement coming from the generation before us, and watching how the generations before us have just let things dissipate. Right? We have had communities be burnt, be put underwater, our children be snatched from our homes, right? And I love the hoorah of our ancestors didn't allow this and our ancestors didn't allow this, but there are our ancestors that are present that are allowing a lot. Right? So where did the ancestors just skip some generations when it comes down to tenacity, ambition, and motivation to do something within community that is going to not only put us back in a space of ownership of what it is that we want, right? Because even though this law is not made for us, we can use the law to benefit us, right? in any way, shape, or form, whether that is building community so that we have our own, our own mayors, our own governors, our own everything. So that for when the law is now in play, we have a play. We have our hands. We have our hands, right? But I don't think we have gotten to that collective notion yet. I think we're almost there, and I think with this Carmelo Anthony situation, it's bringing us a little bit more closer to understanding this, because the more we show more visibility to men, right, and men, good and bad, right, then I think we can start working on the areas where our communities are lacking in, right? Where men are lacking in. I think more attention to men giving, men holding other men accountable is phenomenal, right? The only thing we can do is promote more men holding other men accountable. And guess what? They're going to attune to that, right? And the ones that fall out of it, the ones who go against it, the ones who regress are the ones who stay and stagnate, right? Those are the ones who usually typically don't go too many places, right? Outside of the typical redundant cycle that they live in that gets them nowhere, right? We don't need those for community builders, right? We don't need those men who are just angry with podcasts speaking as leaders, especially when they have no strategical backing to get any community out of anything, especially as a black man, right? I love testing a nigga's gangster when it comes down to that. I love testing a man's gangster when it comes down to that, because for real, the big talk and the I get the flashiness and the bravado that comes with talking with a man that has superficial power, it crumbles after a while. AKA Diddy. Like, these are prime examples. Trump, prime example. Oh, he's crumbling. He might think he's winning. He will crumble soon. It's only in due time. That's why he acting a fool the way he is, because he know he about to. He know he about to hit. He said, "I gotta do my big one before." Yeah, that's how a bad bitch do it. That's how a bad bitch do it. He said, "I'm a prince, my 1-2, before I go ahead and take a bow." Okay. Um, but back with Carmelo Anthony, back to the family, because justice needs to be held. I'm so sorry that they have to sit and go through another. I'm sorry that they have to go through this happening to their black child. And I am sorry that Carmelo, you defending yourself in a time where you should have defended yourself, you were not protected the way that you should have been protected by the people who were designated there to do so, right? Like, I think a lot of people feel that y'all say he's not supposed to have this. It was no illegal. Um, there was no, by what I'm understanding, yes, it was a school event, a school event, but there was nothing saying that you couldn't. It's Texas. It's Texas. That's all I gotta say. There are people walking with 5-inch knives on their hip, if not a whole pistol on their side. Freely. Right? So I don't think he was a little far off by carrying one. Especially when, as a black individual, we have to teach our children, right, how to protect themselves at all costs, even against our own, which is the sick part. Even against our own, we have to teach our children how to protect themselves at all costs. Because when it comes down to survival outside of the home, it's life or death. Something that the privilege of white kids don't have, right, to think about. They don't have to think about that. And the fact that one of the children even said that they did not think he was going to do anything because of the safeness of the neighborhood that they lived in, that is a privilege in itself. Because even when black people go to suburban neighborhoods, we do not feel safe, even though the neighborhood may socially be deemed safe. Even the cops that watch that neighborhood aren't safe to us. But the simple fact that we know that there's cops in the neighborhood there's some type of hope of hey, these might not be corrupted cops. Hey, if we lived in this neighborhood, there are other black people here, so we might be all right here. You know, there are other black suburban individuals here, so we might be safe here. It's all about relatability. It's all about comfortability. It's all about safety. When it's to a white person, right? But when it's black individuals, we don't get that. We don't get that same liberty. We don't get that same liberty, nor do we get the same justice when individuals who put their hands on us first after repeatedly saying, "Do not touch me." I think that's enough emotional intelligence for someone to say, "Hey, I know where I'm going at in my anger, and if you touch me, I might go to another." I think it was lack of emotional intelligence from the white boy from not listening to that and testing, right? And this is where, again, parents come into play. It's because, did you not teach your child not to put his hands on other people? You worried about his life. This might sound a little empathetic, right? But I'm gonna state this right now. I'm gonna state this right now. When it comes down to Caucasians, I have a slight care for, just because I have a little brother who is half Caucasian, right? And I love him so much. Ade, if you ever see this, I love you so much, right? But he also knows how pro-black I am, and I do not play with the Caucasian people in their diaspora. I do not play. And I tell him to stand in his blackness as much as possible, right? But to also be aware of the other side that he has. But I say all of that to say this. I care less about the white tears that their family has when it comes down to one of theirs being fallen, because they had the negligence not to teach their son any fucking decorum. Who told you to put your hands on another individual? Point blank, period. Point blank, period. I don't want to hear nothing else from anybody else, because if we're going to put all of the responsibility on Carmelo and trial him as if he was a grown-ass fucking adult, then how about we start going for the heads of every fucking adult in the situation, right? Let's take that. The little boy is gone, so he can't hold no responsibility, but I'm gonna go for his mama. Well, let's go for the coach. Coach, you was standing in facility. You were standing in range. By what I'm understanding, and we're gonna go over it a little bit, but I'm just trying to figure out. You was there. You was. You could have stopped the altercation. You could have stepped in and said, "This is not. This is not okay. Hey, separate. You go over here. We go over here. Walk to a different tent. This it's raining. Help the child." It could have been so many ways to de-escalate this situation where a life could have been saved, right? 2 lives could have been saved. But because white people think that they control every motherfucking thing and that they believe that they are the victims in every situation when it becomes when it was a white and black situation every single time, and that they know that the law is going to fall to their itty bitty little crying tears every single time. And it's sick that the black individuals that was in that jury didn't have enough gall or enough umption, dignity, integrity to stand up for this boy, knowing damn well that the system was not made to help him. And y'all are playing right into it. All of my prayers go out to Carmelo Anthony and his family. I have cried enough over this situation because I am ready for the dynamic change. I'm ready for black men to actually take all of their power, but I'm ready for black people. We need to stop this buffoonery that we have going on. In the next topic that we're about to talk about with this shit, because this is a prime example of the buffoonery. All right, buffoonery that we have to go through and that we're contributing to, that is halting us from getting to the next part that we need to, like. Carmelo, I hope we get you some justice, baby. I hope within this upcoming year that we get you free of, or a new attorney. Shit, get something turned around for it, because 35 years is insane. 35 years is insane. What type of rehab, like, what justice are you doing? What justice is that? What justice is this? What justice is this? Y'all parents need to do better. Teach your kids not to put no, because listen, I'm gonna teach mine when I choose to have mine. When I choose to have mine, mines will be equipped. I'm not playing. I'm not playing any games. Will be equipped in all aspects. Hands registered from the ages of 5 to above. They will be registered. I'm not playing these games. Not playing them. Not at all. Not at all. Because y'all, the people are gonna learn. People are gonna learn, and they'll be legally done the right way. The right way. Let's talk about Boosie. Okay. I really don't want to talk about Boosie for real, for real. This whole Boosie situation, this Boosie situation is really funny to me, right? It's really, really funny to me because for someone who is so against, because he's not only talked about trans women, right? But Boosie has also talked about feminine adjacent men, right? Mind you, I want you guys to understand this and take heed to this. He's friends, good friends with NBA YoungBoy. I love me some NBA. I love him. He's like the emotional, gothic, bad boy, black boy I've always like dreamed of. Like he's like another like he's part of like the Juice World XXX Tension type. Like I know. I have a thing. I have a thing for the emotionally unavailable. It's a thing. But trauma. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. This is my Sagittarius dad. Blame him. Blame him. Blame him. I chased that man. But anyway, but Boosie has this issue with, for some reason, these type of like the effeminate gay. I think just the gays period. It's just the gays period. And I think at this point, and it's always around Pride season or around just gay topics, he just wants to put his 2 cents in all the time. You know, Boosie gives me trade that can't express himself the way that he wants to and is mad that the world is accepting what he's had to compress and conceal and hide away for so long, and had to sneak and duck and hide, and the ones that he's attracted to get to live their lives, right? And then even seeing other men that are just as masculine, if not more masculine than him, and still being able to live their lives within this homosexual lifestyle, right? I think that bothers Boosie a lot. And I think that he is attracted to trans women. And I think he is attracted to either femboys or feminine adjacent type of butch queens. You know, I think he is one of those type, right? Because Boosie gives me butch queen. If I ain't never met one. Boosie give me put a finger in it just one time. Okay. Boosie give me that. Like, I already know what his freaky deaky ass is giving. I already know. And for someone to talk about what about the kids, and you have promoted prostitution to your child under the age of 18. Be fucking for real. Nothing that you say in any part of the music that you display is healthy for kids in any shape, way, form, or fashion, right? There's nothing about Lil Boosie's name, brand, or aesthetic that I would say is safe for a child of any age under the age of 21. Point blank, period. So for Lil Boosie to say the things that he says about the LGBT community, and is also such of a hypocrite to not understand that he is also not a good example. If not, he is not the example of like what not to be, and what we are striving our community of black men not to be. Yeah, I think that's what your contribution to the community would be, Boosie. Right? And then going to the trans women topic, you want to check hands. That's a passability test for you. We understand that because there's no trans girl. That whole message, there is no way, shape, or form that a girl is texting you, asking you to. We wouldn't have to, darling. Someone's bringing us to the party regardless. You wouldn't know if those were our boobies or not. You would just say boobies. Be fucking for real here. Be fucking for real. You say you checking Adam's apples and hands and feet and shit. Make sure you check your mamas and your aunties and your sisters and shits too, because some of them bitches' feet and hands be just as big, if not bigger. It's just wild that some of the shit that y'all say and not realize that they affect the same women that are in y'all lives. And then you dumbass fucking women that be in the comments promoting the same shit saying, oh, I understand what he's saying. Yeah, bitch, you will be, guess the fuck what? You as a cis woman with a whole coochie will be denied at the door if that's what the criteria that he was deciding on if you was a woman or not. Stupid. That's the problem that we're having. Y'all don't want to call out the hypocrisy and the audacity, for one, the audacity for someone to look at the way that Boosie does and think that anybody will be pressed to be in a space with him just for a little bit of clout and or money or attention is insane to me. But this is the shit that y'all promote. This is who y'all say, because of his music and the impact that he had in the fucking 90s, early 2000s, if that. That he should have some type of weight and say so. And y'all should listen. Not everybody who has a voice should speak, babe. And that's just me. I don't listen to everybody who has a voice because sometimes it doesn't make sense. And then listening to everybody's opinions on it was just even more clarification, because he then responded to everybody with even more dumbness and was like, and tried to compare it to what, like alcohol? Be fucking for real here, Boosie. And then I seen one post of somebody saying that we have our own trans spaces, cis women, biological women can't do that. It's this, y'all are saying the same rhetoric that these white people were saying about y'all stupid black asses. And this is and that's the crazy part. It's like y'all want to be in these positions of power just like them. So y'all do the same things, thinking that that's going to get some type of camaraderie or get you someplace in the club, or some way somehow get you in a higher level of the hierarchy or placement. It doesn't. It don't do shit. It don't do a fuck ass thing. It don't do a fuck ass thing but make you look dumb. And one of them kids that should have been left behind in them school programs. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. It's because, like, why? For what? What are we doing here? What point? Y'all are trying to make this point about trans women so hard that it does nothing but hurt your own existence at the end of the day. It hurts it at the end of the day. If y'all do any bit of research, not only does science prove our existence, but history over and over and over again has shown you that we are meant to be here, period. That men like us, period. Regardless of what you may think, regardless of how you may feel about it, regardless of what your assumptions may be on it, men validate us, they see us. And the problem is that y'all don't even give these men these type of, like, uh, 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 um, platform to speak their truth, because as soon as they start to speak it, you want to make judgment on it. Like, I think if Boosie seen that there was black women that stuck up for the trans attracted men, or for the men that were comfortable with dating trans women, I think if Boosie seen more women that were okay with that, trust and believe Boosie would pop out with one. His whole narrative had changed. Shit, Cherry the Boom was in his house. And for someone, for me, for someone that I don't bang with, and I don't fuck with none of what they got going on, you ain't finna be in my house, my space. But Boosie halfway don't like the shit, right? He don't want the public to know that he fucked with that shit. But behind closed doors, he'll get down. Cause like I said, like plenty of us have known, Boosie have sat and watched men get their backs blown out in jail. I don't know no straight man that has willingly watched that shit. And then was so mesmerized and traumatized, traumatized, that he got on the internet and said the shit and told us all about it. He was like, hey guys. He's like, hey guys, I see. He was getting his booty clap. Like, come on, Boosie. Think about that is trade if I ain't ever meet one, babe. That is a trade, babe. That's that deep denial trade too. That's that trade that like get real angry when you start pointing out like it's okay. Because how you friends with NBA YoungBoy, known to paint his nails too, okay? Known to paint his nails and love NBA down. But I know for a fact that nigga gets down. He gives me trans girl type. He don't give me with the boys for much. And you know what? If he do get with the boys, he got a specific type with the boys, and he gotta make them sign NDAs. And if they speak, it's a wrap for them. I can already see how NBA move with his shit, right? And I think Boosie be a little mad because he know his shit would be able to work like that, bitch. You run to your mouth too much. So he can't get the access to the ones that he want, right? He gotta deal with I don't he gotta deal with what he could get. And it's okay. It's okay. Boosie, maybe if you start being a little bit nicer. Maybe if you start being a little bit nicer, Boosie. Boosie, you could probably get some pussy if you start being a little bit nicer. I don't know. Because all of this shit that you've been giving these last couple of days is insane. You can invite who you want. If that was the case, make it a private party, invite only. All that extra shit that you doing online gives me very much you're mad the bitch that you wanted to be, that you wanted, right? She was trans and she still didn't want your ass. So now you had to go and text yourself, make this fake ass post, right? Because you wanted to be vindictive. But you're not even bold enough to like be real vindictive, because if the case was, it's like you could have just, real niggas move real ways, and like if it was really some type of pressure with somebody, you would have just let it be known, right? But you didn't really want to be known because you wanted to still keep her on the side. Because at the end of the day, you can't do too much. I'm sorry to be telling y'all trade secrets. Oh, wait, DL Whisperer already did that. But he in jail, and I'm not trying to take his content. He gonna need something when he get out. Yeah. So, That's it for me, y'all. No tea, no shade, because I am emotionally drained after this week. Okay, between Carmelo, this shit has been pissing me off. My community's pissing me off. All right, everybody's pissing me off. Okay, but it's okay because I be living in my own little world most of the time anyway. So when major news and like stuff like this come across like my radio waves and stuff like that, I just be like befogged. And I'm just like, you know what? I want to talk about it. And when I have time to talk about it, we're going to talk about it. So I had the time to talk about this. And I just really feel like the family needs to start, for Carmelo. Take this. If Cardi B really sent $5 million, is really investing $5 million into making sure that this case is investigated correctly and justice served, and Charleston is also putting $75K in for the family. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's what I like. That's what I like to see. Shit, I'm waiting for Beyonce because Beyonce should have been first. Because wasn't this in Texas? No tea, no shade. And I'm a little upset. But you know, Megan, I ain't going to say too much. Because Megan, I feel like she going to step in. I feel like she going to step in too. But I really was hoping that Beyonce be one of the first to step in on these situations. But that's a whole different story because that family, I love them down. But we as a community could put these bitches up into the millions and billions, and don't expect them to actually be doing something in these fucking communities. This bitch has moved out of motherfucking country. She is no longer, well, she is dual citizenship, I suppose, with the U.S., but this bitch is living in petty. She is one of them now. So shit that be going over here, y'all realize she ain't being like, I need y'all to get it together. Like I said, that's a whole different conversation, y'all. I am about to go. Okay? Because my emotions is getting a little bit up again about this Carmelo Anthony situation. And I just had a conversation with my mother about it. And I don't wanna get back in that space. Because I'm just really disappointed in my community. And I don't want the community hurt that I have to talk for me right now because I can say some really fucked up shit that I don't want to say. I want to say some really damaging things because I'm hurt, right? Healing, not healed. But yeah, anyway, y'all, that's going to wrap up another episode of Tessa Talks. Tell me how y'all feel about the Carmelo. Tell me how y'all feel about the Carmelo Anthony situation. Let me know how y'all feel about Boosie's stupid ass, okay? And just, I probably already heard the rhetoric. I'm going to be posting some stuff that I heard and seen along the way. Y'all know how I do in here. Okay, I'm gonna catch y'all again next week. See y'all. Love y'all. Have an amazing week. Have an amazing weekend. Yee. See y'all later.